Hello and welcome to Northwestern Models. I'm Kevin and you've probably seen me at a number of the local model railway shows here in the Northwest. Today I'm going to show you how to build one of our most popular selling kits. It's the 4Ground GWR Benches kit. It's a very simple kit to build, so let's get started. So if we open the pack, we will hopefully find all the parts should be inside it when you can get in. So we've got a sheet with the instructions on, and these are colour photographic instructions which you just follow through all the way until the end. We've also got a sheet with the bench legs on and the forming tool, and there's also a little sheet of the actual bench backs and seat bases. So because these are the GWR benches, on the information sheet, instructions, there's lots of little GWR roundels on here. Now these we will cut out a little bit later on and stick on to the bench legs in the appropriate place. If you've bought one of our other bench kits, either the red iron benches or the cast iron benches, they go together in exactly the same way as these, but obviously without the GWR roundels on. So let's make a start with page 1, and it looks like we've got to cut out a number of the roundels first to fit them on to the bench legs. Now the tools we're going to need for this is going to be a craft knife, a pair of scissors, cocktail sticks, probably may need a clamp or two, so it's always useful to have. Again, same with a small pair of thin-nosed pliers, and the glue that we're going to be using is the Deluxe Materials Rocket Card Glue, which is also available from our shop. The other tools will very soon be available from our shop because we are now going to start stocking some basic model tools, as well as having a decent cutting mat on the surface that you're working on, so you don't damage tables and things like that. So first step is telling us that we need to cut out some of the roundels, so I'll cut a number of them out and then I'll start putting them all together. So I've now got 6 roundels cut out, ready to attach to the bench legs. Now you'll notice on the fret that you've got a number of the single bench legs, and there's some double bench legs as well for the back-to-back benches. For the double back-to-back benches, you'll need to put a roundel on each side, so you've got 2 roundels showing. You'll also need to remember you'll need to put a few on the back side of the bench legs, so that you've got a roundel on each end of your bench, and one in the middle, because that's, well, you can get away with the middle ones because you're not really going to see them. So to attach them, the roundels to the bench legs, it's easier to do it whilst they're still on the fret because they're not going to be moving anywhere. And with our rocket card glue, I've fitted the thin little nozzle that you get with it, and all I'm going to do is put a small blob of glue on on a few of the bench legs, and this is all you need. You don't need a lot, just need a small amount, and it's just a little blob of glue. Maybe 3 of those. And then if you use a cocktail stick and just get a tiny little bit of glue up from one of your pieces, and you can pick up one of your roundels and you can put it into place a lot easier and get it nice and straight and square. Press it around. You might get a little bit of excess glue coming off, but you can quickly grab that with your finger, and then get on to the next one. Same again, get it nice and centred, pop it on there. Now, the rocket card glue does set relatively quickly, hence the name rocket card glue. So you don't need to work really fast, but fast enough. I'd say maybe do 3 at a time, so that you're giving yourself time to get the roundels on and in place, so that you're happy with them. And now I'm going to do a couple for the other sides as well. So some glue on this side. That one on. Rotate it a little bit. It's on there. Last one. So that's those on there. Now I'm going to go and cut out a few more of the roundels to put on some of the double back-to-back benches. So then we can start thinking about cutting them out and putting it all together. So I'll get those done and we'll be away. So now I've got all my roundels fitted onto the appropriate legs. I've also cut out the tool to help get everything in line, and I've actually glued it together. In the instructions it says not to glue it together, but I've found through experience that it is worthwhile just gluing it together, as it just folds back on itself. So whilst that's drying, it's now an ideal opportunity to cut out the bench legs that we're going to need. I'm going to start off with one of the single benches, and you just need your craft knife to cut it through, because these are all laser cut. Most of the work is done for you, so you're only left with a single little sprue to cut through, and it might take a couple of passes to get through. I'll go on from the other side. But then you can put your bench leg fret to one side, and you should be left with 3 legs ready to fit on. Now remember, you need a GWR roundel on each end, and I've got a blank one for the middle. Now, whilst I've also got these cut out, I'm going to now cut out a set of the bench slats, so the back and the base. And these are parts A3 and A4, and this is basically shows you how many benches you can make up. So you can make up 2, 4, you can make up 8 single benches if you wanted to, or you can make up 2 of the double benches and the rest as singles, which is what I'm going to do today. So it shows a bit of variety. So again, because it's laser cut, it's very simple to cut out. You just find where it's attached and just go through with your craft knife, and it comes apart from the sprue. So now this is ready to go into the jig, and you start off with your bench legs, and they slot in very simply into the big slots that are in the jig. Get them in, remembering with these ones you want to get a roundel on each end. So the jig will now actually hold the bench legs up. I hope you can see that enough. I'm just going to zoom the camera in a little bit more so you can see it even better. So I hopefully you'll be able to see there that I've got the 3 bench legs in with the roundel at each end. So this is where the rocket card glue comes in very handy, with it having this very long thin pipette type pipe on attachment you can put on the end, which you can now put a small amount of glue on the ends of the legs, to fit the actual seat planks, which are the straight ones. Now you've got to remember, you want to get it so that the ones with the little rivet marks are on the top, and you very simply, very carefully just place it on top of the bench legs, and you should find that the bench legs line up with the joins between the 2 planks. It might be a little bit fiddly at first, but if you get it on there and then just very carefully and gently just press it down, the glue will grab it, and it should then settle in. This is again a reason why we like to use the rocket card glue, because it's quick enough setting that it grabs what it needs to at the appropriate time. Once we've got that on and it's all lined up and straight, which this one's still not quite, there we go, we can then do the same to fit the back, again remembering that the rivets want to be shown on the back. So I'm just going to pick the thing up, put some glue on, doesn't need a lot, but just enough to grab it. You can then get the bench back on, and the top part of the bench back is the one with the rounded ends. So you want the rounded ends near the top. You do have a little bit of time, thankfully, with this glue to adjust it if you need to, and also add in a little bit of extra glue if you find that it wants to start coming apart, like this one has. So I'm just going to dribble an extra little bit of glue in the back and underneath that one, just to help it hold a bit more better. I suppose one of the tricks is to not play with it too much. If it doesn't quite go where you want it to, let it dry out and then come back to it a little bit later. But as I'm not particularly happy with that, so I'm going to leave that one for a few minutes while I start cutting out some of the twin legs out of this one to put one of these together, and hopefully it might go a little bit easier, this one. So I'll just cut 3 of those out. Up to one side. Now obviously for the double one you want 2 sets of the bench slats, so cut 2 of those out. and they're ready to go in the jig. So I'll take the single bench out, hopefully it'll all not come out as one. So yes, that's going to need a little bit more work, that one, but I'm going to leave it for the time being and then come back to it because it's not quite gone as well as I'd hoped, but I'm not going to worry. So again, the same with the double. Put it in, and then get your rocket card glue and get your bases glued on. So put a little bit more glue on this time to hopefully help it stay put. Do the same the other side. Like so. The other bottom. Bottom. Side there. Right, so I'm actually going to leave that to set for a few minutes before I put the backs on, because I think that's probably going to work a little bit better. And then once I feel it's better, we'll get the backs on and we'll have another go at the single bench, which you can see is sort of coming apart very easily. So I'm going to redo that one in a couple of minutes. Alright, so I've now left that for 2 or 3 minutes now, so I'm going to now attempt to put one of the backs on. I'm actually going to glue the part of the bench, I think, this time, maybe. Let's see if that makes it a little bit easier. As a modeller, you're always going to find little ways and tricks of doing things yourself as you do it, because that's just the way things are. It's also one of the great joys of the hobby is that you can learn so many different techniques just by having a go yourself, and just to see how it can go together, getting little ideas of how things will fit together. Yes, that's gone on a lot better that now. So I'm just going to hold that in place for a minute. Let's let the glue grab itself and turn it around to make it easier for myself, because I'm right-handed, to get the other bench back on. Again, just a little bit of glue. Like that. So, hopefully then should be able to get the other side on. Like so, and that's good. That's actually gone on really well. Yeah, so I'm just going to hold that for a good few minutes now, as I think it's got it pretty well anyway. Just before I take it out of the jig, just to make sure it's definitely got it, and then let's just see, will that come out of the jig. Just very carefully just easing this out. Now, so obviously the glue's still not fully set. Yep, there we go. That's the double bench done, like that. I'll just pop that to one side just to harden off. I'll put this single bench back in again. We'll have another go with this, as it will go. I think it's just going to want to take a couple of attempts. But again, before I glue the back up, I'll make sure that the base is glued up nice and solid as well. So let's get some more glue out. Good bit of glue on each of those. Get the base. Pop it on, line up the brackets, hold it in place. Single benches are definitely the more fiddly of the two. This one particularly seems to not want to behave itself, but it will go eventually. Just going to have to hold that for a couple of minutes just to help the glue go off and as it's set. I'll leave that now, it seems to have grabbed it. Again, I'll leave that for a couple of minutes. I'll cut out some of the others for later on. Alright, so that's now I've got the base set on it, so I'll glue up the back piece and hopefully we'll start winning with this one. But, this is one of the joys of the hobby, is that occasionally things don't necessarily always go to plan. Such as this, where you glue something together and you think, oh yes, I can move it, and it's just not quite ready to go, and it then plays up with you a little bit. But it's all part of the learning curve. I've been doing model making for most of my life, so I know generally how long things take to set and to deal with. But if it's a new kit and you've never built one before, then it can be a little bit of a challenge at times, which is a good thing, because it means that you're going to learn some new skills along the way. So don't give up with it. You might get a little bit frustrated, but try not to. Just think, okay, let's leave that to set or whatever, and come back to it 10-15 minutes later or so and see how it goes together. So I'm hoping now with this one that because I've let it set a little bit longer, that it's going to come together a lot nicer than it was before. So what I'm going to do now is, I think the back is on there, is I'm going to, again, very very carefully, because it's still a little bit wet in places, just very carefully ease the bench out of the jig, and hopefully we'll then have a single bench and a double bench. Yes, there we go. There we are. So that's a single bench, and that's the double bench. So there we are, and that is now, once the glue's set fully, they're now ready to place on the layout, ready to be used. So there we are. A very nice simple bench kit. It might take you a little bit longer than you think. There's quite a little bit of skill involved, but there's enough in there for you to have a practice and have a go with. And like I say, this guide will also help you build the other benches in the range, which is the red iron benches and the cast iron benches. They go together exactly the same way as these GWR ones, so it's a nice simple kit for you to build, but again, just take your time. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed our very first video here for Northwestern Models, and that you'd very much like to give us a like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because next week we'll be back and we'll be building yet another kit from the 4Ground range. So until then, happy modelling.